when we step into roles as advisors and as consultants, there is a handful of us who actually step into that role with the weight that comes with it. And then there's a handful of us that step into that role with the expectation to take advantage of. Hey y'all, and welcome to Let's Talk Sis. I'm Shekinah, your host, and as we spend time together, I can promise you 3 things. I'll be honest, I'll make you laugh, and I won't hold back. Let's Talk Sis is your essential girl talk destination where you'll hear about life from the perspective of a Black woman in America, as our stories often go untold. I can assure you, while honest, we are a community for growth and love. Remember to like, subscribe, and share the podcast. Now sit back, relax, and let's talk, sis. Hello, 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 beautiful people, and welcome back. Welcome back. This is Let's Talk Sis. Now, if you're new here or just need a reminder, Let's Talk Sis is a safe space for Black women who are deeply emotional, okay, have not felt seen, heard, or valued. We have room for you here, sis, okay? I am your host, Shekinah, and this is absolutely one of my most favorite places to be, and I'm so honored that you decided to join me, okay? So just so you know, Let's Talk Sis is a community, and I want to hear from you, okay? So if you have questions, you have timeline topics, you have Let's Talk topics, or just anything you want discussed here on the podcast, go ahead and email me at the Let's Talk Sis pod@gmail.com, and we'll get it popping. We'll talk about the things right here on the podcast, all right? So Let's Talk Sis is a brand all for promoting authenticity through conversation. This way we can heal, grow, and inspire our audience. So if you love what we are doing here, you can support and keep this mission going. So to make it easy, Let's Talk Sis has quite a few ways that you can support the podcast, okay? The first way that I can use your support is through your engagement. So whether you're watching this live, rewatching the live, or watching this for the very first time on YouTube, like the episode, okay? Like the podcast, comment. And if you don't know what to comment, just leave some purple heart or sparkling star emojis. Those are always welcome, okay? The more you comment, the better my engagement score is, and that helps me perform on the algorithm so that the people who need us can find us, okay? And speaking of growth, you can also support the podcast by sharing the podcast with people you know, people who you think would find this kind of community valuable or fun, and that way I can, again, have the right people finding us and connecting with us. We are building this community together, so I really could use your help there. And the last way you can support, but certainly not the least, is you can join the Patreon, okay? Support the podcast on a monetary level. You can join our Patreon, which has been titled the LTS Sisterhood. And for just $5 a month, you get so much good stuff, okay? Exclusive access, exclusive vlogs, first looks, behind the scenes, private events. You get to be a part of building a community from the ground up. So if that is something that you're interested in, if you're looking for a place where you can come and contribute to a universe and possibly birth your own, the LTS Sisterhood is the perfect place for you to pull up to. And it's just $5 a month, my girl. You can help us out, okay? So just know that whatever way you choose to support the Let's Talk Sis podcast, it helps us on every level, from growing the team to improving our content and really just keeping the mission moving forward. So every contribution from cash to comments makes a real difference. So thank you all for that, for all that you do. So you helping me do what I do. All right, so I just want to give y'all just a little bit of an update on our YouTube follower count. As y'all know, we just started the YouTube account maybe last year, so we're really looking for people to subscribe, looking for our community, to find us, our people to find us and connect with us. And we are currently sitting at 144 subscribers. Ooh, 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 ooh. Go you. Go you. Go you. Go you. Okay, shout out to y'all. Thank you guys so much for pulling up. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. And if you're watching this and you've been watching us and you haven't subscribed yet, just hit the button. Okay, just hit the button. It's a good time over here. Yeah, we would love to see you. All right. Yeah, shout out to the air horns in the chat. Okay, guys. Whew. I'm out of breath. Okay, I guess I was just talking a lot. Sorry. Not sorry. So I am going to get right into it. Okay, we're not doing a timeline topic today because we are just doing straight hot topics. Okay, I have quite a bit of things I want to share with y'all, so we're just going to get into it. Some of the things are mine. Some of the things are, internet fodder. But let's start off with, as I just mentioned, the Patreon, okay? The Patreon is open! Yay! Woohoo! Woohoo! Now, I have been thinking about opening a Patreon for a really, really, really long time because, primarily because, I'm a creator. Your girl needs to make some income, right? Off of doing the things that I'm doing. Off of, creating. And one of the best ways to do that is to find the people who support you, to find the people who want to invest in what you're doing and create a place where they can do that. That is the Patreon. My challenge for the longest has been with feeling like, I don't want to not be consistent, right? I don't want to not show up and deliver and do the things that I say I'm gonna do or make it worth the while, right? If people are giving you their good hard-earned money, even if it is, quote, only $5, like, especially in this community or this economy, that matters, right? You want to be able to make sure that you're providing them with some level of consistency, some level of access to make it worth it, make the investment worth it. And then not only is it about me performing and me showing up and me being a talent, but also it's about me being sure that I'm intentional about creating a community, right? So that person A and person B meet down in the comments and they can connect exclusive of me. Or I say, hey, I'm looking for this or that, and then there's somebody in the community that is able to provide that. So it's not all, I had to kind of get through the mental of like, what am I going to provide? How am I going to show up in this space? And to be honest with you, girl, I'm still figuring it out. Okay, we're going to figure this thing out together. But what I can tell you is we have developed some exclusive programming, some different opportunities for the Patreon that I think are really special. So the first one that I'll talk about is behind the scenes, right? Behind the scenes of Let's Talk Sis. The Patreon is watching this right now in real time. They're part of the conversation. They're seeing the mess ups, the bloopers, how I'm doing, what I'm doing, how I'm figuring things out. They get to ask questions in real time. And then again, they get to connect in the chat and hang out and engage. The next thing that we do on Patreon are these, like, I can't give you a cadence to when they happen, but randomly, we have these like universe building conversations, right? Where Kimberlyn and I are talking about how we are building out these different worlds, how we are building out these different brands, right? What things do you expect when you're in my universe, her universe, the other people's universes that are connected? How can we cross collaborate and bring each other's talent to the forefront? And we are having these conversations that are exclusive to the Patreon, and I find that to be so valuable because a lot of times when you see content creators, it's the finished product, right? It's the end result, and you don't get to see the mastermind process behind the scene. Like, how did you get there, right? Did you just wake up with this idea? Was this a culmination? Did somebody tell you? Did somebody put you on? How did it happen, right? And so we are giving our patrons a chance to like be in on the process and contribute to the process, right? We do not have all the answers. So we need y'all to come in and help us to figure out the tech, the behind the scenes, the production of it all, the, editing of it all, like all things content. We need our peoples to come on down to the Patreon and help us with. And the next thing I'll talk about, and the last thing I'll talk about, well, actually 2 more things. Okay, so the next thing is Girls Night In. Patreon gets exclusive access to the W.H.I.M.S.Y events. So Girls Night In has 2 parts, right? I've already talked about this. It has the FirstFriday, which is open to anybody who wants to participate. You just have to be a Black woman and register. It's the first Friday of every month. So that's in the Patreon, but the Patreon exclusive part is they get access to the W.H.I.M.S.Y events. So W.H.I.M.S.Y events are events that are focused on herbal medicine, natural remedies, holistic healing, spiritual practices, all that kind of stuff, in a whimsical environment, right? So those events are exclusive to the Patreon and they are free once a month as well. So Patreon gets 2 events, free events a month that connect them with all kinds of women across the world. And then the last thing I want to talk about for the Patreon is season 1. Okay, this is new and improved, and it is on and popping. Okay, so season 1 is a rewatch podcast with myself and Kimberlyn Jackson. We are exploring Black media. Okay, so every other week, bi-weekly, we are going to be watching 2 to 3 episodes of a show's season 1. This month, or this season of season 1, we are rewatching Girlfriends. Okay, so we are rewatching Girlfriends season 1. We started with episode 1 and 2, and we discussed all kinds of things. I'm laughing because it was just so much fun. Like, for one, it was nostalgic and fun to like reminisce and go back and rewatch the podcast. Now, we also had a guest on there. Her name is Naya, known as Embrace All That Is You, and she joined us. And so we were just talking about where we were at the time when the show came out, which characters we related to the most, how do we feel about the show in this age and stage in our lives, and at that age, because they're 29 and 30-ish, right? So we were like, at that age, who did you identify with at that age? So it's just kind of fun to like put yourself in the shoes of these characters and rewatch the episodes as a community, right? Bring back communal watching, like all the streaming means everybody watches things on their own accord, and there's nothing wrong with that. But it is a good time when, you and your girls get your popcorn, get your snacks, and we all finna kiki about this episode, and that is exactly what it was. It was a big kiki. So I am going to show y'all just a quick clip of the season 1 podcast.
I really was into the show because I wanted the friends. So just that in itself is like, oh, Girlfriends, this is something I never really had and something I always wanted. Let me dive in deep. And then watching it, seeing myself in the different characters. So I can see myself in all 4 of them. And I think that's why I'm just like, I love it so much.
Okay, ladies, so the year is 2000, okay? Rewind, go back, think about it. Now, I'm going to go first because I'll have the least to share in this
scenario. I was a young, bright 5-year-old just entering the world of...
Are you serious?
Kindergarten. I'm dead ass. 1995, baby, all day.
Oh shit! I was not prepared, nigga.
And so I simply was going to kindergarten every day, learning my ABCs.
I'm going next.
Well, actually, I guess I was reading by then, right?
Yeah, you was reading.
I actually was doing long division, I want to say.
I'm about to say, and you skipped the grade. You was probably out there writing motherfucking essays and shit.
Okay, so the next thing I want to say or ask is, what were y'all's just overall thoughts of the episode? Period. Yes, go ahead.
I'll go first. It's like I was watching it for the first time. So, I just told you, what my life was like during this time. I wasn't really watching TV. Like, I was very much studying and trying to graduate from college. And so, like, sitting and watching TV was not necessarily what I was doing. And so I know that my eyes have laid upon these things before. There were certain things that I remembered, but like the actual what happened, the actual storyline, no. So it was actually really cool to watch it for the first time and have the background knowledge that I had loosely of the different characters and how they showed up.
Just like I said, I watched it in real time, all the time. I was not missing an episode. And then later, buying all the videos.
We heard you reading the lines down, Jeremy.
I still remember the lines. I really, really was into the show. Because I wanted the friends. So just that in itself is like, oh, girlfriends. This is something I never really had and something I always wanted. Let me dive in deep. And then watching it, seeing myself in the different characters. So I can see myself in all 4 of them. And I think that's why I'm just like, I love this so much.
Okay. So we in the club. And what's going on?
So you gotta kick game. So look, I'm sitting here having my drink. I'm just, minding my business, or I'm with my boys. Yeah. What you gonna say? How you gonna do it?
I was sitting here saying to myself, I didn't really kick game in the club. I'm not a big fan of yelling. And so that's what it's like at the club. We're gonna have to go to a quieter place. So
would you need a lounge?
A lounge with some good food.
Yes. A lounge to take me through there. Or
Okay, so that was season 1. Just a quick clip. Like I said, y'all, it is such a good time hooting and hollering and kikiing and carrying on with the girls. Okay, so we would love for you to join us on the next one. It is May 29th, and if you are seeing this after May 29th, we do it every other week, so figure out the math from there, or just go ahead and join the Patreon, and then you'll have the notifications. Okay, this is the link. You can visit patreon.com/the LTS Sisterhood to join up. Okay, so the next hot topic that I want to get into is something that has the streets a-burning, the streets on fire, the streets ablaze as of lately, and that is the question of to call you doctor or not to call you doctor. Okay, if you have not heard by now, or if you're listening to this in the future, hell, or if you're listening to this in the past, I don't know, freaky. There is a scandal, a controversy, a hot mess that has hit the streets, and that is the validity of the doctorate degree of one Cheyenne Bryant. Now, I'll let y'all go do your research and find the clips in here and see what she said. But to summarize the issue, there have been questions on her dissertation, on her credentials, on her legitimacy as a doctor. It has been called into question. She has kind of gotten her rise to fame or notoriety in this moment from going on various podcast episodes and environments where they discuss, relationship dynamics, very red pill, very dominant, submissive, very high value versus low value, masculine, feminine. Those buzzwords are often topics of conversation in the spaces that she is in. And so the claims she makes, the boldness in which she speaks, the processes in which she suggests has caused a lot of professionals who have degrees, who are credentialed in the area, to call her into question. Why are you telling people these things? Why are you saying this is how these things work and it is not? Her defense has been that she does not need to maintain her licensing as a mental health therapist because she is not diagnosing her patients. And while that might be true, what the problem is, and what I wanted to discuss, is that I'm becoming a life coach, right? As I mentioned, and there are no governing boards. So that is why ethics and good old plain old morals and values matter when it comes to coaching and advising people on anything, especially their mental health. When we step into roles as advisors and as consultants, there is a handful of us who actually step into that role with the weight that comes with it. And then there's a handful of us that step into that role with the expectation to take advantage of. There's a statistic, and don't quote me on this, but it's something to the effect of, to become an expert, you only need to know like 3 or 5% more information than other people, because people just don't go that extra mile, right? When it comes to knowing how to make a sandwich, most people just go to the length of get the bread, get the meat, get the cheese, get the mayo, get the mustard. That's it, right? To be an expert sandwich maker, you're going to have information on which type of bread goes with which type of meat, goes with which type of sandwich, for structure purposes, for flavor purposes, for, mouthfeel. Like, you're going to consider all these other things, right? So that you can provide a more bespoke experience for your client than just Joe Schmo making a deli sandwich in the kitchen, right? So when you have that extra knowledge, when you have that just a bit more edge, right, you are responsible to carry that information and present that information honestly and accurately and fairly and equitably to the people who didn't go that extra mile. You don't lie to the people and say it's sourdough when it's really white bread, because they're not gonna know no better. That's not nice. That's not fair. That's not, what you do. That's not ethical, right? There may be only a slight difference between this bread and that bread, but the bottom line is it's not the same thing. And so I'm using this analogy because when we are in these advisory roles and we start taking on these titles that we know hold weight, that we know demand a certain level of respect, that we know eliminate a certain level of investigation and curiosity. If I say, to take care of your mental health, you need to drink 4 cups of water, not as a doctor, just as podcast host Shekinah. But then if Dr. Holiday says you need to take care of your mental health by drinking 4 cups of water, you're probably not going to question her. You might ask me, well, how do you know that? Where did you hear that from? Well, what makes you say that? Well, is it this? Is it that? If Dr. Holiday says it, okay, say less, right? So when we start assuming these titles and these roles that we did not earn, we start taking choice a lot of times away from our audience. We subject them to, we lean into their assumption that we just know what we're talking about. And that's not right. That is not ethical. That is not fair, right? And as Ray Charles' mama used to say, scratch a lie and find a thief. So if you're up here lying about what you've earned, what you've done, what you've not done, what you've studied, what you haven't studied, what makes me think you won't steal from me? What makes me think you won't take advantage of me whenever you can? You're already lying to me, and you don't owe me nothing, because you can very much come on this same platform as a life coach, as an advisor, as someone just with experience. Nobody asked you to say that. That's what's even more weird. Like, nobody asked you to say that. And so I say all of this to say, if you're watching this, you are someone like myself who seeks information. You love wise counsel. You respect what is the metacognition and metacognitive practice. You respect becoming a better person in honesty and authenticity, and that can sometimes leave us vulnerable and subjective to hearing the right thing from the wrong person, right? And now that person has us hooked, and then we continue to hear things and we believe them, and they may not necessarily be true. So we have to do ourselves the favor of doing our research, doing our due diligence, considering always consider the source, right? Consider the source, because it's not to say that everything Cheyenne said was not true, right? She could quote a book written by a doctor verbatim, and therefore everything she said was true. Everything she said was valid. But we got to consider the source. Consider the source. And so when she doesn't say something that's clicking or making sense or meshing well, consider who's saying it, right? If it's coming from her, how much weight should it hold in your life, right? How much of an impact should it have on the actions that you're making? And if it sounds good, if it sounds like something you might mesh with, okay, now let's do our research, do our due diligence. Can we find other credible sources to back it up, right? Okay. All right, enough of that. The next thing and the last thing I want to talk about is Real Housewives of Atlanta. Okay? Real Housewives of Atlanta is my show. If y'all know me, you know that Housewives is my guilty pleasure. I watch pretty much every franchise. I mean, okay, well, let's see. I don't know if this is pretty much everyone, but I will name the ones I watch. I watch Beverly Hills. I watch Atlanta. I was watching Miami. I have watched New York. I don't watch it anymore. I'm watching Rhode Island because it's good. I watch Potomac. Yeah, so I guess it's like all of them, right? I don't know, most of them, a lot of them. I watch the franchises. Real Housewives of Atlanta, though, is one that I can rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. Like, it is TV gold. And I think a lot of why I love it is because the dynamics in these groups are far from what the dynamics in my friend groups are, but I know that these dynamics exist, and so I find it fascinating to kind of get the drama and live through the drama vicariously through them. Like, I could keep scrolling after this, right? I don't have to stay in the drama, but bitch, what's T? What that? Oh, she said what? Who said that? Who ever said that? So, you know, it's a good time. So they are back with their 17th season. This is their 17th season, and they have gotten what I'm calling a facelift. I mean, literally, you know, the girls have got a little nip tuck, and figuratively in that they have changed the look and feel a little bit of the show. What I will say is, as an OG watcher from season 1 and a rewatcher, this season feels the most like OG Atlanta. It really does. It really feels back to because this is the problem with reality TV, right? I think that the plot gets lost when the beef is not real. When the girls don't have any sort of real dynamic, and I'm upset at something you said that really doesn't bother me, but for the sake of drama, we have to keep the show going. I'm gonna point it out. We're arguing over the same thing all season long. There's no resolution. Nobody's moving on. It's just, the same cycle. But I think it's interesting and it's fun when, you could tell that's your homegirl, and you really are upset that she ate your Cheetos, and y'all getting into it about the Cheetos, and now she the Cheeto monster, and you calling her Chester like for the rest of the girls. Those kinds of little kikis and tips are funny because that's the stuff that actually goes down. You know what I mean? Like, those are the kind of things girls actually argue over. And I'm not saying it's healthy. I'm not saying it's the dynamic that I desire in my friendship. But if we're going to be entertained by it, at least let the pop-offs and the responses and the reads be natural and be organic and just be how girls be, right? That's what we want to watch. That's what we want to see. We don't want to see manufactured beefs and arguing over people who done got shot at the restaurant and trying to tear people's business down. And the seasons kind of just got dark. They just had gotten dark, and I think there's a levity to the season now. So I am loving the new cast with Pinky Cole and K.M.Y.S.Y. Now, I will say that you can tell that they are new to the show in that it feels like they're sitting on ready. It feels like they are expecting Atlanta that I had just mentioned, of that dark coming for you nature, versus the tiffs come as they come, right? They arise as they arise. I'm not setting out to be malicious, but I think Pinky and K.M.Y.S.Y. kind of intercedes a lot of times with that taste in their mouth. And so anything a bitch say, they ready to pop off. Anything somebody says, they ready to, come at somebody. So that's a little chill out, girl. Okay, relax, girl. But I'm enjoying them. I am enjoying them. Shamia and Kelly. Wah, wah, wah. They are not who they think they are. And I think they're butthurt that... I honestly think they're butthurt that they were thinking they would get more people on their side to go against Portia than they did, which is insane. Baby girl, this is her show. Bye, Ashy. Don't make me call Portia. Okay, so I think they came in with this air that they were going to be the it girls. They were going to take over the show, the new young popping situation, and it didn't quite work out that way. They chose the wrong side. And now, when somebody chose the wrong team, now they gotta do everything to talk about how your team's not good, as opposed to just living in their truth that they own that team over there. Yeah, that's boo. Angela Goatley. Okay, I love Angela, not only from her looks, but just from her reads, honey. Angela reads you down like an old school auntie. When we say you better catch the shade, Angela knows how to throw it and she can catch it. Okay, that's the difference between old school Atlanta and new school Atlanta. Old school Atlanta, we're going shade for shade, honey. We're going back and forth. There's a reading session, okay? Can you read? I can read. Can you read? I can read. They started to get sensitive, everything a bitch say, and now we ready to fight and jumping up. No, Angela knows how to take it. Angela knows how to give it back as well, and it comes off smooth, and it comes off as if, baby, I was built for this, okay? Love that. Cynthia Bailey, she gets 10s across the board for her friend of the show role. She's gorgeous. She's sensible. So nothing wrong with that at all. And then last but not least, they can get rid of Phaedra. Get her out of here. Get her out of here. Get her out of here. She contributes nothing. Okay, I still ain't really forgave her for what she did to Candy, because she's the same person. You can tell she still lie. She still don't give you the truth for real. She still likes to be cryptic and just say whatever. So get her out of here. Over it. Done. Move on. All right. Okay, y'all. So that's it. That's all the hot topics we got for today. But I will leave you with this conversation challenge because I'm gonna be a little messy today. Okay. So this week's conversation challenge is for those of you who actually watch The Real Housewives of Atlanta. I want to know, what do you think about Gerald, Shamia's husband? I posted this in one of my messy Facebook groups, and I said, I don't really think he likes her. But apparently, that is not how everybody feels. Some people are saying he just doesn't like being on the camera. Some people are saying he just doesn't like the show. I think he don't like that, his wife. But just let me know. All right, we'll see you guys next week on another episode of Let's Talk Sis. We are back Monday with that fire. See ya. Bye.